Have you ever just looked at your hand and really wondered, what is this actually made of? What's the real difference between you and, say, the chair you're sitting on? Well, today we're going to zoom in. I mean, way, way in, past anything the naked eye can see, to explore these tiny, bustling cities that are the fundamental building blocks of all life. So let's dive into the world of the cell. All right, first things first, we've got to tackle the biggest question of all. What is the one secret ingredient that every single living thing shares? From a tiny little bacterium to a giant blue whale, what's the common thread?
So, yeah, what is it? What's that one thing that makes something alive versus not? This is a question that scientists wrestled with for centuries, and the answer, it turns out, is incredibly simple and elegant.
And that answer, the absolute key to being able to live on your own and perform all the essential functions of life, it all boils down to having this one single, incredible little structure. Yep, the cell. This is it. This is the fundamental unit. Think about it like a single brick. You can't build a house with anything less than one brick, right? Well, you can't have an independent living thing with anything less than one whole cell.
So, how in the world did we figure this all out? Well, it wasn't just one person having a single eureka moment. Nope. It was more like assembling a complex blueprint, piece by piece, over many years, by some really brilliant people staring through their microscopes.
So check this out. In 1838, a botanist named Matthias Schleiden realizes, hey, all these plants I'm looking at, they're all made of cells. Then, literally the next year, a zoologist, Theodor Schwann, has the same realization about animals. So they put their heads together and said, okay, cells must be the basic unit of life. But there was a huge piece of the puzzle missing. Where do new cells come from? It took until 1855 for Rudolf Virchow to put the final crucial piece in place. Virchow put it beautifully. He said, omnis cellula e cellula. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. That's it. They don't just pop into existence out of thin air. Life comes from life. That was the game-changing idea that completed the theory. And this brings us to the core of it all. The cell theory we use today stands on these two incredibly powerful pillars. One, everything alive is made of cells. And two, all of those cells had to come from other cells. And trust me, this wasn't just some boring textbook stuff. This theory totally revolutionized biology and medicine. Suddenly, we understood that disease wasn't some magical curse. It was a problem happening at the cellular level. Now, knowing that everything is made of cells quickly led to another huge discovery. Not all cells are built the same way. It turns out there are two fundamental designs, two basic blueprints for life. One is kind of like a simple, efficient one-room workshop, and the other is like a massive, sprawling, complex city. So on one hand, you have prokaryotic cells, like bacteria. These are the simple workshops. Their genetic blueprint, their DNA, just kind of floats around in the main space, and they don't have a lot of fancy internal departments. But then you have eukaryotic cells, the kind that make up you, me, plants, and animals. These are the cities. They have a protected command center, a true nucleus, to keep their DNA safe, and they are jam-packed with specialized departments called organelles that all have specific jobs. And inside these eukaryotic cities, the cells get incredibly specialized. You can tell what a cell does just by looking at it. It's wild. A nerve cell, for example, is super long and branched out, perfect for sending signals over long distances. Meanwhile, a red blood cell is this small, round, dimpled disc, the perfect shape for squeezing through the narrowest blood vessels. In biology, shape always follows function. All right, so you ready? Let's take a tour of one of these amazing eukaryotic cities. We're going to pop the hood and take a look at the different departments, the infrastructure, and the power sources that keep this whole operation humming. Our very first stop has to be City Hall, the nucleus. This is the big boss, the command center. Inside this structure, protected by its own membrane, is the entire blueprint for the city, all of its DNA. And from here, the nucleus sends out all the orders that control everything the cell does. Next up, we're headed to the industrial heart of the city, the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER for short. This thing is a massive network of factories. You've got the rough ER, which is covered in little protein-making machines called ribosomes. Then you have this smooth ER, which focuses on making lipids, fats, and oils that are super important for building membranes and storing energy. So once the factories make all this stuff, you have to get it to the right place, right? Well, that's the job of the Golgi apparatus.
Think of it like the city's main post office and shipping center. It takes in materials from the ER, puts some finishing touches on them, sorts them, and packages them up with a specific address label so they get delivered to exactly where they need to go. But hold on. None of this, not the factory work, not the shipping, none of it happens without energy. So, meet the city's power plants, the mitochondria. These little guys are incredible. They take in fuel, and through a process called aerobic respiration, they churn out ATP. And ATP is the universal energy currency for the whole cell. It's the cash that pays for literally everything. Without mitochondria, the lights go out, period. Okay, last stop on our tour. How does this city control its borders? It does it with the cell membrane. Now, this is not a rigid brick wall. It's a flexible, fluid mosaic of lipids and proteins, and its job is to be a super smart gatekeeper. It's selectively permeable, which is a fancy way of saying it very carefully controls all the traffic coming in and going out. And getting across this border happens in two main ways. First, there's passive transport. This is the easy way. Molecules just flow from where there's a lot of them to where there's less of them. No energy needed. But then there's active transport. This is like trying to push something uphill. You're moving molecules against where they want to go, from a low concentration to a high one. And to do that, you have to pay a toll in the form of that energy currency, ATP. Okay, let's zoom back out for a second. We've been on this tour of a microscopic city, which is cool and all, but what does any of this have to do with you, sitting there right now? Well, as it turns out, everything. I want you to just think about this number, 2 meters. That is the length of the DNA thread that is packed inside the nucleus of a single one of your cells. 2 meters of code crammed into a space so small you can't even imagine it. And here's the kicker. You don't just have one of these cities. You have trillions of them. Each and every one is a fully functioning metropolis with a specialized job to do, whether it's a skin cell, a muscle cell, a brain cell, and they are all working together with unbelievable precision. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Right now, as you're listening to this, trillions of these impossibly complex microscopic cities, each with its own government and power grid and factories, are all working together in perfect harmony just to make you, you. So what does that make you? A person? Or a walking, talking universe of cells? It's definitely something to think about.